Hello, welcome to another edition of Doctor's Orders by Dr Farooq. I've just given a talk to the local Scout group and I'd like to give you a little summary of how you can keep yourself healthy during coronavirus and a useful acronym, how you can remember all that. So please keep watching, stay tuned for Doctor's Orders. Now, I've come across a very interesting acronym we can all use to remind ourselves how to stay safe, and it is women and men. The W stands for washing of hands. Now, there are many misconceptions on the best way to kill this virus. I've heard lots of things such as using strong bleach or disinfectant or drinking hot water, maybe blowing hot air on your face will kill this virus. But the most effective step, perhaps the one thing we're still not doing properly, is washing our hands. We know the virus structure is a genetic material enclosed by a protein envelope, which itself is quite flimsy. It can easily be killed by washing with soapy water. And soapy water is also something we can use to wipe down surfaces. So when you get a delivery or some shopping before you put it away, you can use that as well. Studies show that infrequent or incorrect technique is still being used even by the healthcare professionals. So please watch this video on the correct hand washing technique and how long to do it for by Wolverine himself, Hugh Jackman.
So I got the soap, just going to quickly turn on, turn it off. And we're going to wash it. Put the water off. And then wash your hands.
Now, the O in the acronym stands for obeying the rules. And as we come out of lockdown, there are some changes, and it's important that we still try to follow the rules. They are there for a reason. Social distancing is still very important, and at least 1 meter, if not 2 meters, is what you need to maintain. We know the virus circulates much more widely in enclosed areas, so please be more careful inside shops. Now, there are rules that kids need to follow at school, such as no ties, no blazers, a maximum of 15 in a class, and year groups are not mixing, as well as rules to follow in the playground. Again, these are important and there for a reason. We don't have enough evidence what happens by reopening schools, how will it affect our virus rates, but we do know the children seem to get it much less severely, and this might be because the receptors that they have, called the ACE2 receptors, are less widespread, especially in their lower airways, although they do have it more in their upper airways, so they might be spreading it more, but at least we don't know for now. We also know that we can now meet up to 6 people in your garden, although it is 8 in Scotland, but the general idea is not to have large crowds or family gatherings. It's obviously going to be difficult to maintain social distancing rules during protests, and I understand totally during the Black Lives Matter protests at the moment, people are trying to convey an important message. But don't forget that the coronavirus is still circulating widely in the UK. It is also affecting the BME population a lot more. And we know that this is probably not linked to any genetic reason. Perhaps the same social inequalities that they are protesting against may be the reasons why it is affecting them more. But that being said, looting, rioting, flouting social distancing rules are never going to be the best way of going about that. Now, the M stands for masks, and there are going to be new rules which will be implemented from the 15th of June, making it compulsory for people to use masks on public transport and in hospitals. So this seems to be a U-turn from what the World Health Organization and the British government was saying. And this may well be extended so that going out generally you may have to wear masks. So it's important, if you need to get hold of them, to understand what are the main types of masks. There are 3 main types: surgical masks, N95 or FFP masks, and also just general cloth masks. All will help to some degree, even if it doesn't entirely stop you getting the coronavirus. Your exposure levels may well be reduced, and therefore you're less likely to get a severe form of the disease. And I think this picture really explains it all, using something simple such as P. So if someone pees on you and nobody is wearing trousers, then of course you're going to get wet. If you're wearing trousers though, and the other person isn't, some pee will get on you. But if you're both wearing trousers, then even less will get through. And I think that is all very, very important. Now the E stands for enough sleep. Now there's a lot of people who ask me, how do I boost my immune system? But the most important evidence regarding this is getting enough sleep. And therefore 8 hours of sleep a day is absolutely vital. And it also reminds us that having a routine is very important during lockdown. If you're having trouble sleeping though, do visit the Every Mind Matters website. This is full of great tips how you can improve your sleep. And before you go down the road of using sleeping tablets, etc., do please have a look at this website. Now the N stands for necessary journeys only. Although we know that more shops are open and the parks are beginning to open up, it's still important that we try to limit our going out to necessary journey only. So doing shopping, healthcare reasons, going to work, or perhaps doing some exercise should be the main reasons to go out. And do be careful when you're in enclosed buildings already, I've mentioned, and it's very important when you're in crowds that you keep your social distance. As for the M for men, it first of all stands for moving around. Now it's important that kids should get 60 minutes and adults 30 minutes a day of moving around or exercise. Trying to get outside is also very important, even if it's just going to your back garden, because it's important that we get some vitamin D. And there are definitely studies showing a link with low vitamin D and getting coronavirus. So this is also important in the BME population. So do make sure you move around and also try to get outside more. Now the next E stands for eating healthily. Again, I get lots of questions asked about what is the correct type of diet you need to follow and how do I boost my immune system. There isn't really one food that will boost the immune system the best. It's really important that you're following your healthy eating. You eat your 5 a day of your fruit and veg. You should also try to eat less carbohydrates, less sugar. And we know that's the case because there is a link with higher sugars and more inflammation, especially if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, which again is very common in the BME population. The next thing to do is avoid too much salt. We know this can raise your blood pressure, and it's also a very strong link with high blood pressure and death from coronavirus. As well as that, you should avoid unnecessary snacking. Some useful tips to avoid this are only eat when you're hungry. Make sure you plan your meal times and your snack times. Try to have a slow release food when you do eat. Try to prepare some healthy snacks in advance. Put the healthier snacks at the front of the cupboard or the fridge rather than the back. And make sure you're eating your proteins such as beans, pulses, meat, fish and eggs as well. I'm also asked about vitamins. Now again, these can be obtained if you have a varied diet. But of course, if your diet is still very poor, you can take multivitamins. Remember that the more colorful your plate is, the better the vegetables you're having, because we know the color comes from phytonutrients, hence you're getting more of these. There are some vitamins specifically that have a role to play in the immune system. We know that you should get enough of vitamin A, vitamin B6 and B12, also B9, also known as folic acid, vitamin C, vitamin D, iron, calcium and zinc. Again, you should look up what foods contain these. And we also know even something simple that we had maybe as an old wives' tale, that chicken broth, chicken soup, there is evidence it can actually be useful, especially if you're feeling unwell. We also know that certain foods which are rich in antioxidants can be also good for the immune system. These include the berries such as blueberries, strawberries and raspberries, and also spinach and kale. And on top of that, we know there are some positive effects from things like black seed oil, from garlic, which also has antibacterial properties, as well as turmeric. So again, having these in the diet are very useful things to have. The final N stands for no touching of your face. We actually do this approximately, according to studies, 15 to 20 times per hour. Now your mouth, eyes and nose are the main areas where the virus will enter the body. And therefore, the acronym MEN could also stand for that. And this will remind you. Now, there are some practical tips how you can stop touching your face. Firstly, being a lot more aware of it. Secondly, put reminders around the house, such as post-it notes about this fact. Also, try to keep your hands busy. Let's say when you're watching television and doing things, keep something in your hands, maybe even a tissue. You could also wear some sort of scent on your hands. Again, when you touch your face, you will smell it and this will remind you. When you're in a meeting, perhaps you could put your hands in your lap or you could interlock them. And also, wearing gloves could help you if you cannot remember, and perhaps you could start doing that in your house. And if you do decide to wear gloves outside, remember these could actually attract germs more. So while you're wearing them outside, do not touch your face with your gloves. And remember, when you do take off your gloves, how exactly to take them off without touching your bare skin. And of course, washing your hands when you take them off as well. So I hope that's useful. So to summarize the acronym Women and Men, the W stands for washing hands. O stands for obeying lockdown rules. M stands for masks. E stands for enough sleep. N stands for necessary journeys only. As for men, the M stands for move around more. The E stands for eat healthily. The N stands for no touching of the face. And also MEN can stand for mouth, eyes and nose, all areas you should avoid touching as well. So thanks again for watching Doctor's Orders by Dr. Farooq. Please do subscribe to my channel. Please share this video widely. Many thanks, and also put down your comments below. Thanks for watching Doctor's Orders by Dr. Farooq.